While we are in India talking about the privacy concerns over Sanchar Sathi app, there have been some remarkable legislation which has in fact taken place in Australia. From December 10th, young teenagers in Australia will be banned from, under the new legislation from social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. All of them are like the magnet that attract young children. Now, this is one of the toughest crackdowns that we have seen in the democratic world. The law was passed by the parliament in 2024 and it aims to protect children from the toxic elements of social media, such as bullying, grooming, sexual extortion, as well as youth suicides linked to online abuse. Now, this is a remarkable, in fact, legislation which has now been brought in effect, though it has raised some concerns about privacy, about the ban being seen as enforceable. But those in favor say that this is a necessary step which has been taken. So what happens? What changes now in Australia? How this has become a landmark example as far as the other developing countries or developed countries or the countries across the world are concerned. In Australia now, the ban says that the social media, kids under 16 years will be completely off social media. They would not be able to use any kind of social media. The apps which are banned under this are Facebook. They will not be able to create accounts, as far as this legislation is concerned. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, X, which was formerly Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, all of this, which kids spend tons of their time, will not be accessible as per the law. Now, the ban comes into effect from 10th of this month, 10th December 2025, and social media platforms have been all asked to delete the profiles of kids under the age of 16 from their platforms. 50 million Australian dollar penalty has been put, a very strict high penalty for failure to comply. Now, why is this ban necessitated? What is the logic behind putting such a harsh ban which is being debated? To protect children from online harm, cyberbullying, harmful content, because, despite age appropriation, this and that, there is always a way around that children find themselves with content which is not appropriate for them, exploitation, mental health issues, and privacy breach. These are the cornerstone, the basic problems that this legislation hopes to achieve, hopes to, in fact, work with. Now, let me also tell you, in Indian context, ladies and gentlemen, this becomes very, very important. Are there lessons that we can learn? And why I'm saying that? Because in India, 49 crore social media users on various platforms. It's a huge market for various social media platforms. India is hooked on social media. Instagram has 36 crore users in India. Facebook, again, 36 crore users. YouTube, about 46 crore consumers in India, and Snapchat has 20 crore users in this country. Now, there is a study which tells you how in India, the amount of time that people and children especially are utilizing on social media to surf the internet. Between the age of 9 to 13, and this is very, very important, 62% spend about 3 hours a day. We are talking about the age group of 9 to 13, where more than 60% children are spending about 3 hours of their day on social media. If you look at the age group of 13 to 17, 49% spend 3 hours a day on social media. This is the local circles survey of parents. 9 to 17, there is an addiction to videos and games in this age group as far as these children are concerned. Massive addiction to videos and the games. 44% parents say their kids are addicted to being on social media. Now, this is an important survey which tells you that, there is possibly something of this nature that we should also think about in our country, given the abuse and not just the mental health issues, but also the physical issues that children, in fact, face as far as, this is concerned. Let me very quickly at this moment go across to Aruba Kabir, senior psychologist, who is joining me at this moment on the broadcast. Thank you so much, Aruba, for taking the time out. I was talking about, we read this and it was a very, very interesting story. Some are calling it a draconian step. Others are saying it's a necessary step which has been taken by the Australian government. Where do you stand, first of all, on what the government has done?
Well, as a mental health professional, I understand why governments are stepping in. Because at the same time, a blanket ban is not a complete solution. The problem is not just screens. The problem is the skill children aren't being taught. That is emotional regulation, digital literacy, body boundaries, self esteem, and the real world social skills. So you can ban the social media, but the minute they turn 16 and they have the access to it, it's difficult to control the impact of it then. So if these foundational skills aren't built, children will find unhealthy patterns with or without social media. I see it's a concern. We are seeing more and more anxiety, depression, bullying, harassment, body image issues, loneliness in therapy in teenagers. But at the same time, we have to see that a complete blanket ban is not a
But
solution.
Aruba, let me ask you this. I mean, the logic could also be turned and said that by 16, at least there is some sense, some awareness about their well-being, some education that has been imparted. They have spent some time in the real world. Because we saw that survey, children are addicted to online gaming between the age of 9 to 13. It has, effects on their mental health, on their social skills. What can parents do in India?
Well, we have seen parents often outsource emotional regulation to screens. A child is not eating, they give them a screen and they are looking at the screen and the child is eating. A child is having difficult time in their teenage where it is the time where there are lots of transitions happening and children need a lot of emotional regulation. But the parent, they do not have the time, so they give screens or they allow screens. So it is less about a child, what you're banning for them, and more about a parent, how their emotional regulation is there. When a child turns in enters teens, there's a lot of transition happening in their life, and parents have not been prepared. They have not prepared themselves for the transition, so they can't take it. Now, why this particular age? 15 to 16 age is actually when a child develops judgment, the right and wrong, and what I should be doing, what I should not. They have this risk assessment skill developed. But now tell me, if there are homes where children don't feel safe enough
Right.
to talk about things, then how are they going to develop that? Doesn't matter what the age is. That is our concern.
That's a very important point that you are making. I'm afraid I'm out of time on this. We'll want a very, larger discussion on this because this is an important thing that people should be talking about. All our children, young ones are impacted by this. Aruba Kabir, thank you so much for joining me. But very quickly, at least this is what we think that the government and the parents in India can, in fact, start doing just as a beginner when it comes to the social media and the impact. Enforce minimum age limits. This is something that the government can do. Apart from the debate on the Sanchar Sathi app, this is what possibly the government would be wanting to do, which will impact a lot more people. Mandatory parental controls should be enforced in all social media. Stricter age verification mechanisms, should be put in. Apart from that, time limit features for underage accounts. You can only access it for a limited amount of time in one day. And, ban on targeted ads for minors. There is no place for these kind of ads. I mean, it is just creating more pressure on them. Mental health warnings and content filters should be made mandatory in social media sites. This is something that at least we think that India should start doing as the also on the government level and also at the level of the parents as well. It needs a wider consensus whether a ban is the answer to it or not. At least the discussion on this should start.